Hey everybody, this is Craig Peterson here with the World Hockey Hub. I'm here with a very special guest, our on our first ever video cast here. Uh, this is our first ever cover athlete of the year for 2021. I've got CJ Kier with me. CJ, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Appreciate you joining us. Give me your first initial thoughts here. Just as far as being the cover athlete, maybe what it means to you, how you saw it, why you applied for it, and just kind of walk me through your perspective on this, how it all came to be.
Well, so originally I was just scrolling on Instagram and then an ad popped up for it. And so I saw it was like the um the template thing where it was like this could be you with Rutger and those other guys on there. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. So I went on it and I submitted my photo and then filled out the information and then like probably a week later, I got an email from you, and like when I got it, like I was just like so surprised. And so it was really surprising and exciting for me. Me being not that well known of a goaltender to be able to see my name and my picture on something like World Hockey Hub is really special for me, and it motivates me to work harder. And so yeah, I mean, it's just it's special and it's really cool.
Right on, man. Well said there. And all good stuff. Obviously, we're super excited to have you as well. Obviously, some of the homework I've done on you. Obviously, you've put up fantastic numbers this year. I think you've had a pretty good. We'll call it a career. I don't know what else to call it. I know it's still youth hockey. You're still young and everything, but we can call it your hockey career, your hockey resume. You've built a nice resume for yourself, and obviously someone we're super proud of to have kind of represent us for 2021. And hopefully, moving forward, I think the idea for us is for this to be like, the NHL EA Sports cover athlete reveal, that type of thing. And it'd be fun to kind of have that over the next couple of years. So yeah, definitely excited to kind of, to start things off with you, obviously. And but I'd like to get to know you a little bit, man.
Mhm.
And I got a whole bunch of questions here. Like I said, like I told you before, this could be 5 minutes, this could be 25 minutes. We'll just kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. How'd you get
Perfect.
into hockey in the first place? Was there like kind of a starting point for you? Did you have like a sibling that played or a parent or something like that that kind of got you into it? How did it all start?
So it was kind of a mixture of things. So my dad, growing up, like when I was like little, like a baby, he was playing men's league hockey, as well as we had Denver University season tickets and Colorado Avalanche season tickets. So growing up, I was always going to his games, and my grandma, she's a huge hockey fan. She was always taking me to Avalanche games and DU games, and so I really fell in love with the sport. Just kind of watching like the older guys. Obviously there's a bit of a skill gap between men's league and DU and the NHL, but I mean, I just all of it. I just loved watching, and I was just so drawn to the sport. It was like nothing I'd ever seen. I mean, I played pretty much every sport you can play, and nothing was the same as hockey.
Right on, man. Very cool. So, you growing up in Colorado, tell me a little bit about that. One, how old were you when you kind of started playing? And what is youth hockey in Colorado like?
Well, so I started playing hockey when I was 4, and obviously that wasn't anything much because I was only that young. But so I was playing mites and UA, and it's just kind of like rec leagues, nothing too fancy. And so I started there, and then after my squirt, I think it was my first squirt season of rec. I had a few friends playing on the travel teams, and I like looked up to them so much. And I was like, I really want to be like that. And so I started working harder, doing a little bit of extra stuff, nothing much because I was so young, but I started doing a little bit more, and I ended up making the Squirt B team the next year. And so there was Squirt A, Squirt B, and Squirt C. And so I made the B team. And then after that, I made Pee Wee A, then Pee Wee A, then Bantam A. And then, I just kept being stuck at like that middle level. And it really started to get frustrating. And so after that, like fourth year of A, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I want to move up, I want to play at the higher level. So we left that organization and went to Denver Junior Pioneers. And so I played 1 year of double A there. I had this amazing coach from Ukraine. His name is Ivan. He moved back to Ukraine, which is unfortunate, but he did a lot for me. And so that season, I really started to like do extra stuff. I'd stay on late and skate, and I'd get on the ice early. And I started really working with a goalie coach then. And then after that, I tried out for the Colorado Thunderbirds AAA team and made it my first year trying out, which was really cool. And it was definitely like pretty big for me because I never, like I said, done anything big in my hockey career. And so that first season went really well, and then I went back for a second season, and it went really well. And then I got in. Well, I filled out a player interest form for North Star, and then they started coming to my games, and we started talking. And then by the summertime, they had offered me to go play there, and so I had a big option between North Star and Thunderbirds because they're both really high level AAA programs, and I decided to go with North Star just because of the faith aspect. And I just like the way that they run things out there, 2 skates a day and a workout and chapel. And I thought it'd be really good for my faith. So that's
Right
how I
on,
ended
man.
up at North Star. And that's just kind of my career so far.
Good stuff. And I do want to get into that at some point here as far as how you ended up at North Star and all that. But I want to back up a little bit. You mentioned this
Yeah.
coach Ivan a little bit. Tell me about
Coach
him. You
Ivan.
mentioned him just being so influential. How? What was it specifically? Were there ever any certain moments you'd care to share on, like, maybe how much he showed that he cared about you, or how he had an impact on your game? Would love to hear.
Yeah. So the summer before I started playing for DU, I had like one of my best friends. He was a skater. He was like, "Oh, I have this skills coach," because he was a skills coach at the time. He was like, "He wants a goalie. Like, just come out and skate with us." And I'd like to shoot on you. And he's like, he'd love to have you. And so I go out there, and little did I know it was like a little tryout for me because he was coaching the team the next year. And afterwards, he came up to me and he's like, "You will be my goalie." And then he was just like, "You'll be my goalie next year. You will start." And so, I mean, he was coaching a double A team. And so, I mean, that was pretty clear. And then also the kids who he had in his skill skates, one of them was the coach of the Thunderbirds. And that's kind of how I got in with the Thunderbirds, was him watching me skate with his sons with Coach Ivan. So, and Coach Ivan, he's a big influence in hockey out here, or he was when he was here. And so they talked, and he really talked me up to a lot of coaches and helped find me a good place to play.
Right on. Were you always a goalie?
No, so I became a goalie. It was during that squirt house year. So I'd always loved goalies because I thought they looked cool. And so when I played baseball, I wanted to be a catcher just because it was the closest thing I could be to a goalie. And my dad was always like, if you want to be a goalie, you have to be the best skater. And so he gave me like these goals, and like I just crushed them because I wanted to be a goalie so bad. And so I finally got the opportunity when my goalie squirt year broke his arm, and so my coach was like, "Who wants to play goalie?" And I was the first guy to just step up and raise my hand. I was like, "I would love to play goalie." And that first game, I still remember pretty vividly. It was like a 5-1 loss, but I mean, it was against the best team, and so 5 goals against in your first game. I mean, it's not ideal, but it wasn't horrible, and so it stuck after that.
Well, you kept coming back, so there must have been something to it.
Oh
I
yeah.
do I do laugh a little bit because I just think the average hockey person doesn't realize how good a skater a goalie needs to be. I'm glad you mentioned it
Mhm.
because, like, even for me, like, I was a forward, or, I played out, but like, for all the guys who skate out and work on skating and stuff, I think it's just totally overlooked on how good of a skater you have to be as a goalie.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, in all positions, I think, there's a great saying: if you can't skate, you can't play.
Oh yeah.
And to think that it even applies to goalies is something that I think sometimes gets overlooked.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. A lot of people always feel like, "Oh, well, you just sit in the crease," and there's a lot more to it than that. It's a lot of edge work and stuff. It's
For
tough.
sure. Um, so you end up in Minnesota, right? That's
Mhm.
where North Star is. Tell me a
Yes.
little bit about this process. Did you, because Minnesota was currently was on hold up until like this week or something, correct?
Yeah, it's been pretty strict with everything.
So are you in Minnesota right now or are you in Colorado?
I'm in Colorado for winter break. I go home on the 10th, so this Sunday.
Okay.
Mhm.
So how has that been? Are you billeting with a family? Are you living on campus? What's the dynamic there?
So North Star is a fairly new school. This is only our third year um, being a team, and so I believe they're planning on building dorms this summer. But right now, I'm staying with a billet family. But they are planning on building dorms for the future.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So being an '04, I mean, this last, 2020 would have been a big OHL, USHL draft year for you.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing anything here on your elite prospects page. That's okay.
yeah,
I just
and
want to talk about it a little bit. Was any conversations, any interest? Is that something you're interested in even? Just kind of that whole dynamic.
well, yeah. So um, I've been definitely since last year not being drafted. I wasn't expecting to get drafted because last year definitely wasn't one of my best years. But not getting drafted, it's definitely kind of lit a fire in me, and it's definitely helped me this year to play how I've been playing and giving me confidence, knowing that there's always people watching. And so one of my biggest goals this season that I said before the season was I wanted to get drafted in the USHL in the draft this year. So it's definitely one of my biggest goals still, and I'm working towards it every day. Um, I'd love to play in the USHL. That's been one of my dreams ever since I heard about it. And then obviously college hockey. That's definitely been one of my biggest hockey dreams for a very long time.
Good stuff. And I mean, another cliche, goalies take a little longer to develop. And,
Yeah.
I don't know you personally, don't know you super well, um, but yeah, I think that that same logic, just, it's a good rule of thumb and being where you're at now and the numbers you're putting up, man, like, wow, good for you. I mean, tell me a little bit about this year. You're having a hell of a year just based on what I can tell. How are things going this season? Kind of where's the team shaping up? Obviously, you guys got put on pause there and everything, but
Mhm.
just kind of how this season is going as a whole.
Well, for me personally, this has definitely been my best season I've ever played. And I think there's so many aspects that go into that. I have a very good goalie coach out at North Star, and he's been very, very helpful. My team, I know that they believe in me. My coach tells me all the time. All my coaches, they always tell me how much they believe in me. So it's very nice to have that behind me, and it definitely gives me a lot of confidence. Our thing at North Star is family. That's our motto, and it's forget about me, I love you. So we play for each other instead of for ourselves. And so when I'm going into a game, like there have been a few games this year where I feel like I haven't been like totally in the zone, but I battled through that because I'm playing for my teammates rather than myself. Where in the past it's just I've been playing for me and worrying about my stats and all this, and I feel like as a goalie, like that's kind of an unhealthy way to play. So the biggest things for this year have definitely been, having a team behind me that I know is confident in me, and I'm confident in them. So just playing for them has definitely helped me a ton.
So I'm forgive me because I'm not super familiar with North Star, and you mentioned
Yeah.
it's still a very young program, but playing in the NAPHL here,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
How give outsiders a feel for that? What's the competition level like? How does it stack up? How do you is it good competition for you? Like, just put that into perspective a little bit for me about your particular league.
Yeah. So the NAPHL, it's a very good league for AAA. It's kind of it's pretty it's got a lot of teams in it, from all over the country. It's not just like a region thing. And there's definitely some good teams in there. Like we've got Florida Alliances in there. We got Car Shield. We've got some high end teams, and so it's definitely been really fun playing in that, competing in that. We have playoffs coming up in I think March, in Dallas. So that's definitely exciting, and I look forward to that.
And that would be league playoffs, correct?
Yeah, league playoffs. Yeah.
Okay. So then the goals as a program, are you looking for a league championship? Do you compete at the state level, national level? Kind of what would be the goals for the team for the year?
So this year, our goal is definitely to win our league. Since we're a newer program, we haven't really figured things out with Minnesota Hockey and USA Hockey yet. So we can't go to nationals yet, just because we're such a new program, and they have like rules where like you have to be a certain age team to be able to go to nationals. So we can't do that yet. But definitely in the future, we'll be looking to play for a national championship.
You mentioned your goalie coach there at North Star.
Mhm.
Give him a shout out. Give him a plug. Who is he? What's his background? How's he been working with you guys? Give me the rundown.
Well, his name is Pete Smarja, and he's from. So he coaches three teams. He coaches the Dubuque Fighting Saints in the USHL. He coaches the St. Cloud Norsemen in the NOL, and then us. And so he comes in, a couple of days every like other week. And when he's there, we always work on super like high skilled stuff because he works with high skilled junior goalies, and so he's teaching us those concepts, and it's been very helpful. With skating and puck tracking and just little things that separate us from other goalies.
Good stuff. I mean, and a good resource there to have, as you mentioned, with him being a coach at the
Oh
junior
yeah.
level and things like that. He's got to be obviously a pretty good resource for you to have to be able to lean on and hopefully advance your career.
Yeah, he's very very helpful. He's definitely helped me a ton personally.
You mentioned the USHL earlier. Um, Give me, what are some of your goals? And you mentioned some other goals you have as well, but give me a couple goals, what you set out for, maybe this season or maybe long term. Is playing college hockey a big goal for you? Like, just what are maybe some of your goals, short term, long term?
Well, definitely short term, like I said, is to get drafted in the USHL this upcoming draft. I don't have a lot of control over that, but it's definitely one of my big goals. Um, Sorry.
It's all
Um,
right.
some of my long-term goals are definitely to play college hockey. It's always been a dream of mine, watching DU when I was younger. And then after that, obviously I want to play professional hockey, but I've got a lot of work to do until I get there.
What
And
about
so
outside of hockey?
that's definitely my biggest long-term goal is play, hopefully in the NHL.
Okay. Okay. What about outside of hockey?
Outside of hockey, hmm, I don't know. I feel like a lot of my life has definitely been hockey. And so I haven't really had a lot of thinking outside of hockey other than just like, backup plans. I'm a big aviation guy. So, maybe becoming a pilot if hockey doesn't work out. I mean, I haven't put a lot of thought into it yet, but, being a pilot has always been something I've been interested in. I love flying. I've flown planes before. And so that's definitely a good backup plan.
Okay. Is that because the Air Force is out of Colorado or what?
No. That friend who helped me find Ivan, he goes to an aviation school, and so he helped me um get into this program where I would fly planes with pilots, and like I'd fly like small planes, and so I just fell in love with that. So that's definitely a big hobby of mine.
Okay. So you're living remotely, right? You're basically separated from your parents, I'm assuming, when you go back to school here?
Yeah, for the most part, yes.
How Tell me about that. How were the parents okay with it? Was that a pretty easy win them over, or were they pretty hesitant to send their 16-year-old away? I mean, it's one thing to send them to college. It's another thing to send them to prep school. And I know a lot of
Yeah.
people do it, but I just know, I think about me personally when I was, some people do it at 13, 14 years old. Here you are doing it at 15, 16.
Yeah.
I can't imagine personally doing that at 15, 16 years old, knowing where I was, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just wonder how that family decision went down, how you've been adjusting to basically life on your own. Give me the whole rundown there.
Yeah, well, like I said, it was a big decision between Thunderbirds and North Star, and deciding on North Star, it was tough for my dad because I live mostly with my dad, and so I've been with him for the past like 6 years, and so it was definitely it was tough, and obviously for my mom too because I see her a lot here, And so it was definitely difficult for them to let me go, but because of where I was going, my dad had met the coaches and the staff, and he knew that I was going to a good place where I'd learn how to live away from home, and that's one of the things that they work on teaching us is preparing for juniors. How to live away from home, and so it's been a lot easier than I was expecting it to. I was blessed with an amazing billet family, and so that's been super helpful too. Like I said, the coaches, they've been super helpful. I haven't really been homesick too much because we're so busy. And so the way that they have it set up has been it's made it a lot easier than I thought it would be to move away from home.
Yeah, I think you could find it very beneficial in the years to come, right? As
Mhm.
you pursue junior hockey and you are away from the family and you are, that kind of, I don't want to call it a life on the road, but like you're away
Yeah.
from family, you're on the bus all the time, you're
Yeah.
getting billeted. If you're going straight from the Thunderbirds to that, it can be a bit of a shell shock. So,
Mhm.
this step here for North Star, it's almost kind of easing into the process a little bit or getting you more comfortable with it. So
Yeah.
like I said, I think you could probably find that to be way more beneficial down the road.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Because I know that juniors it's definitely going to be a lot different than this, but they teach us, how to live away because, we're probably not going to have as much support. 'Cause, juniors, it's kind of, it's a different animal. But they teach us, how to live with that and, how to continue to play our games and, just focus on our goals and not get caught up in other stuff.
Yeah. Pregame routine. You got your goalie, so I'm sure there's some stuff that's way out there. It would be
Yeah.
what do you got?
So I always have to have coffee before a game. That's definitely a big one. I'm a big coffee guy, even outside of hockey. But when it comes to hockey, it's always like I gotta have my coffee before a game, whether it's ice or hot. I'm not that specific, but I gotta have some coffee before the game, and then I've got a playlist that I listen to. It's been pretty much the same thing for the past few years. I'll add a few
Who's on your
songs here
playlist
and
at the
there.
moment? Who's on your
Huh?
playlist?
Oh yeah, playlist is definitely important. I've got some, movies from or I've got songs from movies like Creed. Like I love that movie.
Yeah.
Big fighting movie. So I got like the walkouts. That stuff gets me jacked. I love Conor McGregor, so I've got his walkout song in there.
Love it.
Um, I always play the same song before the game, like right before warm ups. I always listen to The Greatest Show. That song really gets me going. That gets me in the zone. And then before games, I juggle, and then I do something that a lot of people think is really weird. It's definitely a goalie thing. I don't see anyone else doing it, but like I have a routine with my eyes where I'll take my finger and I'll follow it like this, and I'll go in and out and up and down for about 5 minutes. And I don't know what it does, but mentally it just zones me in. Like I,
Is this like the Braden Holtby stuff where he's standing there on the
yeah,
bench and you just see his eyes go left, right, left, right, left, right? Like,
yeah, exactly
I
like
don't know.
that. That's how I got it was from him.
Sure, you got to warm up
Yeah.
your eyes or something. I don't know. I don't know. You goalies, man.
I don't understand how it works, but it helps. Like it gets me zoned in. I don't know if it's because it's the
Fair enough.
routine and my body knows that it's game time, but it helps a lot.
What's the dynamic with the boys like there at North Star?
We're very, very close. Before we had even really met each other, just from getting the group chat going and then summer camp, I mean, we are just probably one of the closest teams that you'll see out there. I mean, we all love each other, like I said, and we play for each other. We have guys on the team who will block shots for each other. Where we one of our big things that we do is if someone takes a penalty, don't blame them. Kill it for them. Like we got this for you because you messed up, but we'll take that for you and we'll shut them down. And so
Good
we
mantra
love
to
each
have.
other out there. We're very, very, very close.
That's a good mantra to have. I like that.
Mhm.
How do you think that gets developed? I mean, you mentioned kind of doing some of the summer workouts and stuff like that. Do you think that just comes with spending more time together? You're bonding off the ice, kind of. How
Yeah.
does that all transpire for you?
Well, we do spend a lot of time together because, we go to school together all day. We're all in one classroom. We're with each other pretty much 24/7. And then obviously I have a roommate on my team, so I'm literally with him 24/7. Um, and so that has definitely helped us become super close, as well as I think all of us being Christian athletes, being able to talk about our faith together, that's been very helpful as well, growing us together.
So what are you boys doing? How are you getting in trouble? What's going on here? You guys spend a lot of time playing NHL. You playing video games? What do you do outside the rink?
Well, so we don't have any like video game consoles or anything outside the rink, other than the guys who actually live in Alexandria. Um, we really don't have a lot of time outside of the rink, other than Mondays, which is our day off. We really don't have a lot of time outside the rink. I mean, I know that recently we've been playing a lot of pond hockey because all the ponds are frozen. But I mean, our day is 7 to 5:30, and then we go home to our billet families and eat dinner and stuff. So not a lot of time to be getting in trouble. They're
Fair
they're
enough.
definitely they're definitely pretty smart about how they planned it out.
Fair enough. Give me the schedule then. What's the schedule like? So, you waking up at 6:30, getting to
Yeah,
the rink by set. Like, give me the rundown hour by hour. What your day looks like.
yeah. So pretty much everyone wakes up at around 6. Get ready for school. We get to the rink at 7. We skate at 7:15. Then after our skate, we go head over to the school and we make our protein smoothies, and then we go to school for like I think it's like 3 hours. Then we have lunch. Then we have 2 more hours of school. Then we have our skill skate. Then after our skill skate is our workout. Then we go shower, and then we go to the chapel. And then after chapel, we head home, and then we're with our billet families all night. Which usually it's an early bedtime because it's a bagger every day.
How are the billet families? Are they pretty like? Do they keep you guys in line? Do they kind of give you a long leash to do what you want, or what's the dynamic there?
So yeah, so a lot of the billet families, they're pretty lenient. We have some rules like our billet families have to take our phones at night, just so we're not up all night. And then we just have to stay in touch with them. Like we have to let them know ahead of time if we're going out with the boys or like just like what our plans are. But they're pretty lenient about what we do. Um, I mean, we're not the type of kids that are gonna go get in trouble, so no one's really too worried about it. We have a curfew. For weekends, I think it's like 10. We have to be in bed, and then for weekdays, it's 9:30. So I mean, usually everyone's already asleep by 8:30, so no one's really up past curfew.
Right on. All right, well, awesome, CJ. Really great stuff. Glad we got to meet you. Put a face with the name, get you out there a little bit. Again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fantastic having you. Couldn't have a better representative for our first ever 2021 Cover Athlete of the Year. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I'm Craig Peterson with the World Hockey Hub, and this is CJ Kier, your first ever Cover Athlete of the Year.
Thank you so much for having me.